New allegations have been made against one of America's most well-known pastors, and now it's playing out in court. And unfortunately, when things like this happen, it affects Christians everywhere. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what's happening, what you need to know, and what we can learn from it as Christians. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. This is kind of icky, but I do want to talk about what's going on with TD Jakes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. TD Jakes has already been, for those of you that don't know, he's already had allegations of SA from another man. Okay. He made those allegations in an interview probably about a year ago or so. TD Jakes responded by basically starting a lawsuit that looks like it was to like a defamation type lawsuit to try to silence this guy. Now, here's the problem. This is why a lot of churches just threaten lawsuits and don't do lawsuits. So if you've ever signed an NDA from a church or something like that, and they've threatened you with a lawsuit, 9 times out of 10, they're not actually going to do a lawsuit. And here's the reason why. Because it opens them up to discovery, to subpoenas. And once you have subpoena power, people can find out some of the things, some of the skeletons that are really hidden in the closet, right? So a lot of churches aren't going to do that because once they take someone to court, they open themselves up. Now, TD Jakes, he went ahead, he took this person to court, but now in those court proceedings, there's new court documents where there has been a second person. So I think it's the brother of the original, alleged victim, who said, no, I experienced SA as well, and then gave those witness statements. So now TD Jakes is going to have time to respond. Then they're going to have time to respond over the next few weeks. But let's look at this together because, again, we can't ignore this stuff. This is one of the biggest pastors of the biggest churches, super well known all over Christianity, regardless of what you think about him. Okay. That's neither here nor there, but this is important because he is known. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share this with you and let's just look at a little bit of the article again from the Roy's report here. Second pastor files suit against televangelist TD Jakes alleging sexual misconduct. Okay. A second pastor has come forward accusing popular televangelist Bishop TD Jakes of decades old sexual misconduct. Richard Edwin Youngblood's claims against the famed preacher were explained in a 6-page statement. Again, they get the affidavit. Julie does a great job. You can look at that. She links all of that information. But basically, Richard Youngblood is the brother of Dwayne Youngblood, who was the person who originally came out with these allegations and the person that TD Jakes sued. Now, TD Jakes is sued because he said, hey, this isn't true. And now, again, this is playing out in court. It's playing out in front of our eyes. I do think it's important to note, one, none of us know that this is true. I am not saying that TD Jakes is guilty of anything. These are just allegations. But allegations become a bit more serious once they get into court like this, because now you've got 2 people who have went on the record under threat of perjury, okay, if they're not telling the truth. This is very concerning. And now you get these 2 men who were saying this well-known male pastor basically, was sexually inappropriate with them. And you can look at all the details. I'm not going to talk about those on a YouTube live stream. It does say, as always, and the reason why I read these is because I think it's important for us to know, in most of these scandalous type situations, when reporters, this is whether it's Julie Roy's or anybody else, okay? When reporters reach out to them, they rarely even hear back. They rarely even get a no comment. Several attempts to leave a telephone message with the Potter's house were unsuccessful, okay? And I appreciate what Julie Roy's does. A lot of people get upset with her for doing these articles. She is never going to post one of these articles or publish it without getting both sides of the story. The problem is a lot of these pastors and churches are completely silent, but the victims and the alleged victims are not, okay? Jakes, basically, as you go through the story, and you can read it, I'm going to link it, but I thought this was interesting. Essentially, after, and this person says, you can read through it in the affidavit, after they experienced SA, okay? After they experienced that, this is Richard Youngblood. Jakes told Youngblood he was no longer allowed to attend Jake's church, and he called Youngblood's wife, telling her that I was a liar and to beware of me. So this guy apparently, when all of this allegedly went down, got kicked out of the church, and TD Jakes called other people talking about him, including his wife. So the whole affidavit is one of 6 affidavits supporting Dwayne Youngblood, the brother's claim that T.D. Jakes wanted a sexual relationship with him. So there's a 167 page motion that's got all of this there. So Julie does a great job. She linked all of that. I'm going to link that article once we put up the live stream. I'll go ahead and link it so that you guys can look at it. But again, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this because this is just but it's something that we have to know in the church world. People are seeing this, but inside and outside the church. And a lot of this, even if these allegations were false, could have been avoided if they had simply had better protectionary policies. Like these, in both of these situations, if I'm understanding it correctly, you have a pastor who's in a hotel room one-on-one with these people. Okay, so there's things that we can do, policies we can put in place, just like with the Safe Church Pledge. It's part of the reason why we push the Safe Church Pledge. It's 16 commitments that help avoid the appearance of evil. Okay, because even if all of this is false, and again, we have to treat allegations like there's some merit to them until all this comes out. We're not saying that T.D. Jakes is guilty, but you have to look at this as this could have happened. Even if this comes out, though, and all the allegations were fake and they were false, this still does damage not only to T.D. Jakes and his ministry, this still does damage to the church. So one of the best things that we can do as the church and church leaders is to go back to that biblical standard that Paul gave for elders, for overseers of the church, that we got to fight like crazy to be above reproach. What does above reproach mean? It means when someone brings like a legal type of reproach, that it's very quickly dismissed because you say, no, I can tell you who I was with. I can tell you what was going on. I can tell you the parameters we had in place so that these things didn't happen because we didn't even want to have the appearance of evil. That's what being above reproach means biblically, okay? It's not that we're not reproached. It's reproach doesn't hold up when someone tries to bring it against us, okay? So again, just letting you know that's going on with T.D. Jakes. We don't know what's happening. We'll continue to follow it. It's probably going to take a long time to play out in court, but if these allegations are true, this is going to be one of the, this is going to be another huge black eye type scandal